Hi, I'm Jasmine, and you're listening to Lifesavers, the podcast by the RNLI, the charity that saves lives at sea. Join me each week as I speak to volunteer crew members and lifeguards who willingly risk their lives to keep more people safe by the water. If you're enjoying the series, get the latest episodes as soon as they're released by subscribing to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iTunes, and hear what makes an ordinary person a lifesaver.
I was face to face with him. I think it's more the fear of what am I actually going to say? Like, what do you say? And that was quite scary, to be honest, in a different way. But it was quite scary, as in I need to say the right things to make it all better. But so yeah, I think that's the scarier side of it.
In this episode, I meet the lovely Kassim, a volunteer lifeboat crew member from Tower Lifeboat Station. It's the busiest lifeboat station in the UK, and it's based on the River Thames in London. Al volunteered with the RNLI after being rescued at sea in 2015. He was so grateful to the volunteers who came to save him that he wanted to be able to do the same for others, and where better to do it than in his hometown of London. Tower is a 24-hour lifeboat station, manned by full-time staff and volunteers. The volunteer crew do 12-hour shifts to provide round-the-clock service. I had this chat with Al after he'd just finished a night shift at the station and had come straight back into his full-time job the next day. I hope you enjoy it. Here's Al.
We got rescued in 2015, quite a while ago, in Chichester. That was the first I actually appreciated the RNLI for what it was. You know, I always assumed on Channel 16 you do a Mayday. I didn't really have a clue who would turn up, just somebody would come and rescue you. And when the lifeboat turned up, it was, the biggest relief. For a while, it looked pretty bad. So when they turned up, it was amazing. So when I got back to London, got back to work, I was walking down the embankment and I walked past a lifeboat flag and realized that's where Tower was.
It's all completely funded by donations, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was the amazing thing. It was, you think it's like the police, right? Like, the Coast Guard would just be an emergency services funded by the government, and but yeah, it really isn't. And I think it's the people's time that I find more valuable. Like, the guy that was on our boat 8 minutes before, he was working in his home office, and 8 minutes later he's on our boat. We instantly felt like we were gonna live to see another day. So it was amazing that a volunteer just puts himself on our boat just to save strangers.
What made you think that being a lifeboat volunteer was something you wanted to do?
It was definitely the experience of being rescued, but I've always loved volunteering. It was just a natural draw. I walked past the station thinking, wow, that's really cool. That's a lifeboat station there. Thought I would email and somehow got on the crew. So it just kind of, the whole thing just felt natural. I went in to speak to the lifeboat station manager, blown away by what they did. And it just kind of evolved from there.
Do you have to have a certain experience with working on boats, or do you need to know first aid?
I think volunteers at Tower, it's quite nice. They don't have to come from a boating background or an emergency service background. But we generally find we come from either end. So there was a lot of emergency services on the crew, police, fire brigade, paramedics. Then on the other side, there was lecturers, town planners, photographers. I mean, it's just a whole range of really interesting people.
Do you remember what it was like when you walked in there for the first time and seeing all these people who might have already formed some friendships? Was it intimidating?
Actually, my first. So we go through 2 trial shifts, just to make sure that we get along. Not really annoying. I managed to slip through that gap somehow. But yeah, the first observer shift I did, I turned up and there was 3 crew on the day. They instantly make you feel at ease. Volunteering, gets a certain type of person that wants to do it. And they're really lovely people, it is. So they instantly make you feel at home. They show you the ropes, and I think the only worrying thing was the first day I kind of felt seasick a bit on the pier. So I managed to get over that. So my 2 observer days went really well, like 2 different sets of crew, and I got along with everybody. So yeah, I mean, I was desperate to get on the crew after that.
Would you say you've made good friends now?
Yeah, definitely. I really have. I mean, when you go to difficult jobs and come back, there's a real support network around you, and you make really good friends. And there's a lot of people that I really look forward to doing a shift with because it's great catching up.
What makes Tower Lifeboat Station different from a station on the coast?
On the Thames, there's 3 stations that are 24 hours. I'm still convinced it's the best lifeboat station in the world. It really is. But no, I mean, it's very different. It is. I have a lot of admiration for people that go out on the coast in, terrible weather and big waves.
And with being 24 hours, does that mean some of your shifts are overnight?
Yeah, the majority of the shifts I do it's overnight. So I leave work about 6 o'clock, get to the station for 6:30, work until 6:30, 7 in the morning, and then come back to work. I love it. It is. I get a real buzz from it. So the next day, the lack of sleep is made up for with a buzz from being there, and coffee. A lot of coffee.
Did you think that joining the crew at Tower would be easy to slot into your lifestyle?
I don't think I realized how much it was going to be. Like initially, it was like 2 12-hour shifts a month. I thought it'll be a struggle. I'll try to fit it in. I'll see how I get on. And I went the opposite way. You make time for things that are really important, right? So I end up doing a 12-hour shift a week, if not more. And there's a lot of training. You find time for things that are important. With the family, my daughters absolutely love, the whole lifeboat thing. I took them to the lifeboat station last week. And, the RNLI it makes it such a nice family atmosphere that they feel part of it. My 9-year-old knows about mental health, knows the basics of resus.
What kind of situations can you get called to out on the Thames?
It really does vary, and I think the variety of it is pretty amazing. We do have a lot of mental health, but I think a lot of lifeboat stations do. The other end, we have a lot of large tourist vessels that we get called to quite a bit. And for various illnesses, so and it's a whole spectrum: epileptic fits, chest pains, difficulty breathing, falling down the stairs. So the variety it really does keep you thinking. Well, as you go into the job, you're really sort of playing it through in your head. And some of them are animal rescues, like the rescued a Harris hawk this year. Which is quite unique. My kids love that.
How do you deal with more of the difficult shells?
I think mostly it's the support network you have around you. We do have quite traumatic things. We see quite traumatic things. And you go back and, you have a debrief. Everybody makes sure that, you're okay, and vice versa. You make sure that if you see something in somebody that doesn't sit right, you sort of speak up about it. And then people check up on you a couple of days afterwards, because I think right afterwards you're just caught up in the I'm fine, but the emotion really is, it sits inside, and it comes out at various times. So it is. I think it's all about the support network.
Something I always ask on this podcast is about a rescue you'll always remember.
Mm-hmm.
What's been a really memorable rescue for you?
It was about 3 years ago. We launched from the station at midnight for a person in the water. Dark night. I remember seeing the bridge in the background lit up, and it was just it's beautiful looking at the bridge, but it's so bright that everything around it is dark. So, the water on the way there was just, really, really dark. So spotting somebody in light like that was quite difficult. But, we saw a little dot, we went over towards it. It was a person, we pulled him in. He was unresponsive, cleared his airway, did whatever we could. The paramedics took over, and he was kind of went with the paramedics, and high fives all around. Job well done. I mean, we worked really well as a team to get him to where we did. And Oh, it was fine. Sort of, went to work the next day, back to normal. I think what really stuck out was, a week later, his parents came in to say thanks, and it was weird because you completely forget about it, and then it becomes really emotional because you didn't realize that it was a person, it was a job at the time, and then it becomes real. Like you had parents, and you realize that it's just one person in a huge spider's web. So it makes it really special. That really kind of sunk in.
It's like you save a life, but you saved a family.
Absolutely, especially for parents, because it's not the natural way, right? Like it is, it would be really difficult to lose a child. So it's same way when my kids are 30 or 40, they're still going to be my children, right?
Absolutely.
So it's
Was there ever a moment during that really memorable shout for you where you thought that person might not make it?
Yeah, I mean, it was, especially my background's in the city. You don't see people in a state where they're, unconscious, struggling to breathe. Like, it's a rare thing to see, really, and we get exposed to it quite often. So yeah, I mean, I think training makes a big difference in sort of, being able to spot when things are getting better and when things are getting worse. So it's, it does make a big difference.
How does it feel for you to save someone's life?
Amazing. It is. It is just surreal almost. I gotta be honest. It is almost out of body. It's. I feel like I'm there while I get to watch other people do really heroic things. But yeah, it's really surreal. It's not like a. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to place what it feels like, but it's great. It's really good.
Do you ever get scared?
Yeah, I think one of the scariest ones was somebody was trying to jump and we pulled up and I was face to face with him. I think it's more the fear of what am I actually going to say? Like what do you say? And that was quite scary, to be honest, in a different way. But it was quite scary, as in I need to say the right things to make it all better. But so yeah, I think that's the scarier side of it. I mean, it's a big comfort zone. Like it's a big leap out of your comfort zone. I think there's a lot of things you can prepare for. But what did scare me when I joined the crew a lot was, the medical side, the casualty care side. But I think over time, you go through so much training with the medical side. It's the casualty care side that's dealing with people. That's actually harder because there's no right way to do it. There's no right way to sort of interact with somebody. It's just people are different. Even people through illness. We were on a job about a month ago where a boat collided with a bridge and there was people having panic attacks on the boat. It was talking to them and sort of getting them to calm down. Once you get through it, it's great.
That's it. And with casualty care, obviously that must just be quite process driven. You do this to fix this wound, and you do this to make this person feel better. But when it's actually the talking, the emotional side, it's all you, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, there are things that help, but once you get over, the biggest thing is introducing yourself and letting them know that you're there to make it better.
That just must make you feel like this is my saviour, this is my person. I can put this name to this face. They're here for me.
Yeah, and it was the same as when we got rescued. It was I still remember the guy really well. He jumped on and just like, oh, my name's Phil, and I was like, instantly, yeah. So it's trying to do that for other people that I think I definitely was at the rough end of it, and I'd like to be at the making a smoother end of it now.
Yeah, you've come full circle.
Yeah, definitely. So.
Do you think being a lifeboat crew member has helped you grow as a person?
It really has. It helps in putting things in perspective. A lot of situations aren't life and death, and you just need to treat people well, because it doesn't matter some things go wrong. When it's life and death, it becomes exactly the opposite. Like, everything's very calm. It's about bringing calmness to the situation. It's about people having roles and doing their job really well. I definitely bring that to my professional life now, trying to calm things down rather than letting things spiral. So it's great.
It's so easy, isn't it, to get sucked into things that you think are important.
Absolutely.
And when you're out on the water and you're at the sharp end, you must just get such an absolute refresh on what's important in life. Exactly.
And it is like, calming your emotions. It's not something that you try to do it at a certain level, but when the adrenaline is that high, you're in a situation that you've potentially never been in. It really makes you good at controlling your emotions.
Definitely, yeah. It must increase your emotional intelligence so much.
Massively, it does, and it's amazing to see people work at these really high adrenaline levels. I don't know how they do it, especially some of the paramedics, like the helicopter emergency. It's amazing how they do it. I mean, it's just so incredibly calm, focused, and they're going through, I guess, a script in their head, but it's the training that goes behind that and keeping it calm. You think, wow, they've absolutely nailed it. And I try to emulate that as much as I can, not just on the lifeboat, but everything else.
And that must be so nice to see in other people as well, because I suppose when you're actually going through training, you can tick things off that you've learned to do, but when you actually see someone be able to control their emotions and you see how they are with people, you see them grow in that way, that's a whole other thing that people don't usually get to see.
Definitely it is. Just training with the other crew, I think we calm each other down. It's confidence in your fellow crew as well. That kind of calms you down. Yeah.
Oh, Al, I hope I never get to see you on the water, but if I do, I'll feel in very, very good hands.
Well, hopefully it's for good reasons, like being on the lifeboat. Maybe you could join us on the lifeboat.
I'd love that. Please let me on it.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you so much. I've really loved talking to you today.
Thank you very much.
Huge thank you to Al. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to us if you could give us a 5-star rating and review. It will really help other people find our series and hear our stories. To find out more about the RNLI and all the ways you could be our lifesaver, visit rnli.org/Lifesavers podcast. The charity is completely reliant on the generosity of the public. They don't receive any government funding, so every rescue is powered by the incredible support of people like you. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.